Hey guys, we're back.
We're back? What do you mean we're back?
We're back. We left. Now we came back.
Oh. So we're not front. We're just back.
Because we're back. We're back. You know it. Ooh, yeah.
What the?
I don't know what just happened, but I'm very afraid right now. Can we just do the 15-minute time limit?
Yeah, let's do that. Alright, so 15-minute time limit. Lull TNA. Whew. TNA recently on Sunday was informed by Spike TV that their television program was no longer going to be running after October 1st. So, what do you guys actually think? I mean, obviously we talked about this in the news, but this is a big deal because the number 2 most visible wrestling promotion in the country right now has completely disintegrated, and essentially what you're left with is a bunch of former WWE prospects who burnt out of the system, who couldn't make it, and jumped over to TNA. A couple of indie darlings as well, who have made fine dollar on the backs of Spike TV and their programming. The problem that TNA faces now is the fact that they are without a home. Currently, Dixie Carter is saying that she is still in negotiations with Spike TV, and the news of Impact's cancellation was. Well, actually, both sides have said this. Both sides have said this: Spike TV and Dixie Carter. So there are.
Spike did.
Yep, Spike did.
Because I know that Viacom said that they don't comment on ongoing negotiations, which doesn't necessarily mean that they are negotiating. It just means that they don't comment.
Spike TV representative issued a statement to PW Torch on Monday indicating that there are ongoing negotiations between the company and TNA. And Dixie Carter tweeted something similar. So basically, there's this. There's the fact that ROH is also talking to 2 other promotions, none that you'd think of in this particular slot. Looking at you, ROH. One of those completely fell through, and the other one is still in negotiations, according to the Melts. So, there are 2 separate issues here. Number 1, is there going to be wrestling on Spike TV? And number 2, is this the death of TNA? Will this be the death of TNA? Will we see TNA be bought out by the WWE? Which, I just had it up a second ago. Basically, the WWE is going to make an offer on TNA's... let's see here. Yes, and also on the latest episode of Wrestling Observer Radio said that the WWE may likely make an offer to TNA if the company were to shut down. The going rate for tape libraries is probably approximately $500 per hour of footage. TNA has approximately 1,000 hours of Impact Wrestling footage, so an offer of $500,000 is what they would likely to receive. So basically what we're sitting here saying is that the WWE could buy the entire library of TNA for $500,000 if they decide to fold.
Well, that's just Impact footage, not pay-per-views and the weekly pay-per-views and all that stuff. Although I don't know if WWE, they could, honestly, I think WWE could probably offer them lower than the going rate if they were desperate enough. But is it the death? This is kind of like getting cancer, honestly. It's kind of like, it doesn't mean, it's not a death sentence, but it is scary. It's sort of a touch and go. You don't know. You can fix it, but
maybe.
And that's the thing too. Even if they do find a new network, will they still have the problems that have plagued them for a long time? Yeah, for the most part. They still have roster member. They don't have Hulk Hogan anymore. I've heard that's kind of, like him or hate him, Hogan is probably the most recognizable wrestler in the world. And if he's on your show, that's going to help entice networks and whoever else to hitch to your star. And obviously, they don't have Hogan. They have decent roster members and everything, but other than maybe Kurt Angle, who else is immediate? Jeff Hardy, I suppose. Other people who aren't necessarily automatically mainstream recognizable. That's not to disrespect people like, obviously Bully Ray and Samoa Joe and a lot of the other, Eric Young even, a lot of the talented people they have on the roster. It's just a matter of, we're talking about mainstream here and actually trying to sell to a network who, the reality of television is if a new episode of a show gets a 1.0 rating and a repeat of Cops gets a 3.0, then what are they going to go with? So,
if I may clarify Omega BR's analogy a little bit, TNA is the man who gets rectal cancer because he keeps using his enriched uranium butt plug. Sure, they may go in, they may remove the cancerous cells and lumps and whatnot, and use radiation, and they may even clear him up. But he's not going to stop using that uranium butt plug, and it's just going to happen all over again.
Oh man, I and people say I'm crazy and nuts. Jesus.
Is that not an is that an unfair assessment?
That's kind of it. Yeah, because a burning hole in your asshole is really enriched by uranium. See what I did there?
Nah.
Yes, we saw that. But let's just come out and say it. The uranium plugs, I guess, in this situation are a couple of radioactive people by the name of Vince Russo and Dixie Carter. I mean, if for some reason, I know Panda Energy, I know Dixie's family pretty much ponies up all the money for TNA, but say, just for a second and a half, that somebody else took over the reins and somebody got rid of Panda Energy, they got rid of Dixie, and they got rid of Russo. Would that at least be a little bit better to get Spike to change its mind and take TNA back?
It would really depend on who would actually be behind them. If Panda Energy were to exit the situation, which I will guarantee you at this point, they will. If Panda Energy and TNA are still together by the end of the year, and there's no new deal reached, I will be very, very surprised. I think that TNA is pretty much a lost cause. I mean, people are like, jumping the gun here and saying, "Oh, it's dead, game over." I'm at this point. It is like cancer. You're probably gonna die. You have a 60% chance of fatality, assuming how far along they've caught it. But the treatment here isn't necessarily just firing certain people and putting certain people in. The entire the way to fix this thing is probably just to dissolve it, to be completely honest, because it's the company is so far gone, the name is so far gone, and anyone behind it has been so tainted that you're going to need a new promotion to come waltz right in and be like, "Hey, guess what? We're a new promotion. We are fresh blood, and we are better than what they used to be." And let's don't forget here all of the horror stories of people not getting paid, and the way they treated their women's division back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Let's not forget the horrible Jesse Sorensen situation, which is just deplorable, in my opinion. I can't believe that they would do that. The situation with the non-top talents, where they treated them like dirt, giving them $200, each $250 each night, that they worked, and then game over, and they treat it. Basically, what I'm saying here is that the culture and the brand they created is so toxic that the only real way for this brand to actually redeem itself is to die.
Wow. Hello on the third day and rise again.
I wonder if they really can survive without a TV deal. I mean, let's say they did kind of overhaul the brand and say, we are going to be a wrestling company in the same vein as Ring of Honor, and we're not going to have a TV presence, but we're still going to tour and things like that, because really the strength of the brand at this point is their talent. And they do have people like, as mentioned, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and such. And beyond some of those big names, a lot of their roster isn't necessarily like, it's not like, they have Samuel Shaw, They have like, I mean, Angelina Love, Velvet Sky, names that that TNA has made famous, but again, names that TNA has made famous. I guess what I'm saying is, it's not as if they are paying Hulk Hogan X amount of dollars anymore. It's not as if they are paying Sting, or, surely they are to Kurt Angle, possibly to Samoa Joe, possibly to, say, Bully Ray and such. But I guess what I'm saying is, with the backing of Pan Energy and everything, is there a way for the company to be viable without a TV presence? Could they just focus on touring and be more like an independent, and maybe go to some smaller towns and maybe, fill that entire small town arena so they can see names like Jeff Hardy and such, instead of, going to the Manhattan Center and, trying to fill it.
Barely filling it, yeah. This is the perfect opportunity for TNA to jump over to Great Britain. England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales would benefit from this large of a company coming over to the UK and actually setting up shop there. Their wrestling presence is much greater over there, or at least it used to be. And I believe that if you had a company like that running in on the British Isles, and had them run over there for a long while, we would see a very, very strong powerhouse come out of that system. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they already have a bunch of people from over there, and they already have a bunch of talent from over there. And it would make sense to me to ship them over to England, get a Sky or a just some sort of television deal over there, and hold on to that for a long while, and just be that niche product that comes out of Britain.
Interesting point. It could work, but they would really have to commit to it. They'd have to figure out all the logistics and plus the fact, would their talents necessarily want to effectively move to Europe?
More British, yes.
Well, the talent pool would turn to be more British. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of the WWE talents and the bigger names would come over there, but instead of bringing in guys like Sonata or other people that are from America, that are from the independent scene, you'll see more people from the British scene, which could be a renaissance over there if you think about it. I mean, they have a real chance here to actually do something great, but are they actually going to do it? Probably not.
Yep, 2 steps forward, 1 step forward, 2 steps back for TNA. So, since nobody's talking, one more quick thing about TNA. Do you think there's a double standard amongst pro wrestling fans at times? And this point was brought up on Woo, that the WWE zombies treat TNA with much more disdain and a double standard than they will from WWE, because they let more of WWE get away with things that would be more questionable than simply saying, if TNA did it, LOL TNA.
No, I don't think so. I think both companies get their righteous share of criticism. I think it's just the fact that TNA tends to err more on the side of, the more ridiculous in a way. TNA has a lot, as we mentioned, TNA has a lot more freedom to do things like bring in international guys and one-offs and things like that. But then they also kind of have the idea of, I think from the beginning, in a way, people have sort of expected TNA to not make it. And, that's not to discredit how well TNA has done over the past decade plus. It's just the fact that, with WWE, it's like, it's not that they're too big to fail, it's just, I think TNA kind of got that reputation of being WCW light, and it's just carried on throughout the years with every dumb thing they've done, you know. But I think overall, both companies get their fair share of criticism. It's just that TNA tends to be a little more bold, I guess, in some of the things they've done. They've had a lot more mini events that seem like they were not just lame or disappointing, but out and out goofy.
Okay, we got 1 minute left here. Name the company that would replace TNA on Spike TV. Go.
Well, it has to be GWF.
Yankum?
I don't care about TNA at all. I
know. I'm not asking you about TNA. Who's going to replace TNA on Spike TV?
Nobody. It's either going to be reruns of Cops or Strike Force or something. It's not going to be wrestling.
Strike Force isn't even a brand anymore. Omega?
Oh, you know, the first you head wants to say something like Ring of Honor, but that's probably not. I would say a brand that, what's their promotion out of New York that has a lot of
NWIC or Northeast Wrestling? One of those?
I think I'm thinking of NWIC. What did you say it was?
NWIC, yeah, that's NYWC. That's
the promotion that had Starman and Stone Cold. God, what was that now? Oh, Stone Cold E.T. You know?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
You know what I'm saying, right? The one that had the big kind of super show before WrestleMania 29.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. What they should actually put on there is just Hood Slam. It should just be Hood Slam. I mean, that's really all you need.
For a second, I thought he meant Kaiju Big Battle there for a second.
Oh, God. All right, so that's it.
Hey, there's an idea.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, why not?
They have a TV program. I mean, come on. It'll be great. Wishful thinking on our parts, though. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I
Still, you just had that it's a pie.
It's time for dessert, Omega BR, and don't you ever backtalk dessert.
Oh, be quiet and let's have some ice cream.
Dairy Queen drive-through.
It's time for the Dairy Queen drive-thru, and with the ratings this week, Yankum GDS, so NetJester doesn't screw them up.
Oh, come on.
Oh, great. Now he gets to screw up the names and the birthdays. That's all right. Let's see. For Impact, we have the Impact Thursday, July 24th, scored a 1.07 rating, up slightly from the 1.04 rating the previous week. It was the highest rating since February, when Impact opened 14, scoring in the mid 1.1 range before diving below 1.0 and staying there for most of the year. Impact drew 1.419 million viewers, up slightly from 1.403 million viewers the week before. It was the most viewers since the April 10th episode. On cable TV Thursday night, Impact ranked 35 in overall viewers, 12 in males 18 to 34, and 10 in males 18 to 49. Looking at why a 2-week ratings bump from New York City could be too little too late for Impact on Spike TV, the following is a comparison of the last 4 years of Impact to this point through the end of July. So the 2011 average through July was a 1.2. The 2012 average through July was a 1.04. The 2013 average through July was a 1.02, and the 2014 average year-to-date through July is a 1.0 rating flat. Prior to Thursday's show, Impact's 2014 average was a 0.99 rating. Thursday's show then bumped Impact up 0.0 level. And on to some less depressing news. WWE SmackDown scored a 2.01 or 2.0 cable rating, which is even with last week's rating. And Raw scored a 3.06, down a little bit from the 3.15 rating the show drew the previous week. As previously noted, Raw averaged 4.317 million viewers. That's down from the 4.43 million average from last week.
And with the birthdays, we have NetJester.
And now, happy birthday, person, place, or thing. On the 30th of this month, we have absolutely nobody. Interesting. But on the 31st, speaking of the very opposite of interesting, we have John Laurinaitis, or Johnny Ace himself, followed by Kid Cash and Tex Arcano Jr. Then on August 1st...
Can we stop for a second? That would be Tejano.
Tejano? Tejano. Really?
Tejano, yes.
Wow. Okay. Funny. But even funnier, hey, on August 1st, get the tables because Devon Dudley has a birthday with referee Mike Chioda. On the 2nd,
Chioda.
Gesundheit. On the 2nd, we have Mitch Ryder. Then on the 3rd, we have Karl Gotch, the legend himself. Then on the 5th, we have Kazarian, or the 4th, excuse me, we have Kazarian and Ding Malenko and Kensuke Sasaki. Yeah, you thought I didn't get that one. I've read it in advance. And on the 5th, we have, I'm not going to get this one, Ikato Hidaka.
I just want to see if I can do this better. Okay, we are, please judge. Ikuto Hidaka.
There you go.
Is that like Neil Sedaka? Or never mind. Also on the 5th, we have Hunako and Kendo Cashin. Kendo Cashin.
Jesus fuck.
Quit, you're messing me up. On the 5th, we have Sweet Stan Lane and Mike Hecht. You're making me...
Just sound it out slowly.
Hawk Inches.
There's no N.
Hawk Kitch Ez. Hawkitches.
There you go. Now say it all.
Mike Hawkitches. It sounds like some sort of... Seriously, doesn't that sound like... Oh, you bastards. I was going to say that this was a pulled pork recipe, but you want to pull something else on me, don't you? Oh, I swear.
They make a cream for that net, Jester.
You should really get that checked out. Like, planned very good.
Which I'm sure you'll be happy to put on me, and I say no. Moving right along.
And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling with Omega BR.
Yes, this week in wrestling history, circa 1976, where Tiger Jeet Singh defeats Seiji Sakaguchi to become the first NWF Asian Heavyweight Champion, a New Japan title, in Osaka, Japan. Tiger, never fond of doing jobs, would hold the belt until 1981 when he jumped to All Japan Pro Wrestling. Jump to 1978, where during a New Japan show at Budokan Hall in Tokyo, WWF World Champion Bob Backlund wrestled Antonio Inoki to a 1-hour draw in a 3-fall match. Inoki won the first fall 20 minutes into the match. Backlund won the second at the 36-minute mark before they went the distance. And in 1993, Luna Vachon defeats Miss Texas, otherwise known as Jacqueline, in Memphis, Tennessee for the USWA heavyweight title, ending Miss Texas's 5th and final run with that women's belt. And that was This Week in Wrestling History.
And no more to the point, nobody ever jumps on Omega's case when he mispronounces something.
Nope, because he normally doesn't do that. So happy trails. Happy trails to the Happy Trails segment, because it's pretty obvious what the Happy Trails is this week. What to watch this week in wrestling? Yankum DDS.
Well, we didn't get to talk about it much because, actually, we didn't talk about it at all. Stephanie and Brie have a match coming up at SummerSlam, so let's you go back and watch some Stephanie McMahon matches. Trying to think of any, but nothing is jumping into my mind specifically.
And you call me a Nazi bastard? Really? Steffi matches? I mean, God, she's good eye candy, but geez, no, not a match.
She's not even good eye candy.
Well, back in the day she was, but not now.
No.
Well, how about Sable versus Stephanie?
There you go.
No.
But Vengeance
There you go.
Vengeance 2003.
Oh, that's a fantastic match to suggest, Gunner.
Matt Jester, what should we watch this week in wrestling?
I'm still trying to iron my folds of that match, brainwave speaking, but off the top of my head, the match on Raw last night that really got me going was, unfortunately, the Roman Reigns and Randy Orton match, and the reason it got me going was for a particular botched spot that just got replayed 2 seconds after the botch. Of course, Randy clears the announce table of everything breakable and hurtable, and then he goes to do his RKO on the table. The table doesn't break. And then, rather than keep going, he decides, oh, let's do it again just for shits and giggles. And watch that as an example of something not to do in a match. If a spot fails, just go to the next spot. It's like Lesnar doing the shooting star press all over again.
Your pronunciation and your enunciation this particular evening is like Brock Lesnar doing the shooting star press, just so you know. Omega BR, what should we watch this week in
I'm of
wrestling?
the mind that NetJester has been drinking.
I'm of the mind that the particular dick itch that he has is a syphilis, which has crawled into his brain.
Oh.
Well, it's not lupus.
Omega.
Isn't lupus a cool disease?
No.
Okay.
Well, I would say, since we were talking about Jacqueline, how about the Capital Bridge pay-per-view, which was a UK pay-per-view. It was actually a 1998 December pay-per-view from the London Arena, London, England, and a bit notorious because Jacqueline was in a tag match on that show. I believe it was Jacqueline and Mark Mero versus Sable and Christian. I remember at the end of the match, you might remember Jacqueline had her top ripped off, and I forget how exactly it happened, but she was on referee Tim White's shoulders, and she had her top ripped off, and clear view, uncensored topless of her chest. And I believe that pay-per-view is on the WWE Network, although I've heard they tend to censor things like that. Things like that, and of course Mae Young from the Miss Rumble contest 2000.
You're not going to see nipples on the network.
And thank God for the Mae Young censor.
It's a no nipple network.
No, there's thousands of nipples on the network.
But they're all male.
Well, yeah.
So basically what
I'm
you're
just
telling
saying.
me is that they're not going to censor the Cesaro nipples, which would be, take up the majority of their budget. Just saying. But the match I'm going to suggest you all watch is from WrestleMania 22. Mickie James versus Trish Stratus, since we're all suggesting chick matches this week.
Well played, Gunner. That is a fantastic match.
It's one of my favorite.
For women's wrestling matches, that's like top tier.
Yep, and it's one of my favorite WrestleManias, to be completely honest with you. All right, so that's it for this week. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. We understand that we've had some technical difficulties in the past couple of weeks, but hopefully we'll get them on board. Omega BR, fightingback.ca, that the Wrestling Against Cancer promotion is coming up, isn't it?
Why, yes, I do believe it is. The actual date for that benefit show,
August 15th.
Yes, indeed. Friday, August 15th at the Knights of Columbus Hall in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. VIP Gold tickets, $30. Front row reserve, access to a meet and greet. Silver tickets, $25. Access to second or third row meet and greet, of course. 100% of the ticket sales going to the Canadian Cancer Society in memory of Frank Morin, of course. There will be alcohol sales with a valid ID. So be sure to check that out. Certain matches announced. A special 6-man tag match is the main event with Mike Bailey and the Super Smash Brothers, I should say, versus the Young Bucks and Bucks Belmar. And of course, more information about that as it becomes available. Of course, you can go to fighting-back, or rather fighting-back.ca to donate, get more information, all that good stuff.
Check that out. Will we be having hopefully we'll have Mr. Uno on, who I believe will be also on the show. And we'll have him on our show previous to this, hopefully, as soon as we can get a hold of him. But it's coming. Don't worry. It's coming. So, thank you all for listening. You can catch us on smarksnark.com and smarksnark.com's Smarksnark on YouTube, youtube.com/smarksnark. You can check out our Twitter page, twitter.com/smarksnark, where myself and Yankum DDS tweet on Monday nights and pay-per-views and all that good stuff. I might be tweeting sometimes during the NJPW G1 Climax, so if you see the Twitter feed alive at 5 in the morning on a random Thursday, you'll know why. Besides that, we have a Facebook, facebook.com/smarksnark, and I guess that's it. Am I missing anything?
I think it's only fair that since I started the show, I get to end it.
All right.
With all that said, thank you for listening, and take care. Spike your hair.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know it.
Good night, Sheffield.